Commanders fans. I'll still say what's good, Commanders fans. What's good, Commanders fans? I'll still say it because it's a preseason game. It was our second string and third string guys. Even though they got ran off the field and skunked and blown out 48-18, you know, I still think, of course, we're going to win double-digit games. So we don't want to overreact from this game. But, of course, it didn't look good. It was 27-3 at halftime. We start the game out with a Chris Moore drop, a Matt Gay missed kick. We start the game off really with a 100-yard kick return from Travion Henderson. That's how we set the tone for the night, allowing that. So special teams was awful tonight. There was a big run by Antonio Gibson, a big return by Antonio Gibson. The tackling was poor. Catching the football was poor. I thought Sam Hartman was okay. I think a lot of people were really tough on Sam. I know he was a little off on some throws, but when Chris Moore drops a wide open throw in the middle of the field, and then he drops another one, which it would have been a tough catch, but that's a drop. And then KJ Osborne drops a touchdown catch. Like, you got to think about his confidence, his rhythm. Like, when guys are dropping passes, like the Chris Moore drop, 2 plays or the next play he throws an interception. So imagine if Chris Moore actually catches the football, that interception, in my opinion, doesn't happen. Imagine if KJ Osborne catches the football. He has 1 touchdown instead of 0 touchdowns and an interception. So you got to look at it that way. The receivers didn't do him any favors. There was a couple drops. He did have a nice run for like 6 yards. But I thought the throws that he made were nice. Like, that was a nice throw to KJ Osborne for a touchdown. That was a nice throw to Chris Moore down the field. That was a nice throw over the middle of the field to Chris Moore that Chris Moore just dropped and had hands like a snake. And Chris Moore, like, his time is up. His key card should not work really tomorrow. It really should not work. I think we've seen enough. You look at the clip that the Commanders put up on Twitter, and he's dropping a pass, and Trey Amos just takes the ball away from him, just took his cookies in practice. And that's just what's been the tale of the tape from Chris Moore. He's had a nice catch, and then he'll have a couple of drops. And we just don't have time for it. And it shows how badly we need Terry McLaurin, because Chris Moore has been playing snaps with the ones. Same thing with Ja'Cory Brooks. Ja'Cory Brooks had a solid night. He had a drop too, I believe. But Ja'Cory Brooks, he showed something. Like, he had a nice screen catch and run. I think he had another catch for a first down. He ended up with, how many receiving yards did he have tonight? He ended up with 59 receiving. He led the team in receiving yards. 5 catches for 59 yards. But big play Tay made a couple of plays. Lawrence Cager had a drop. Jacoby Jones had a drop that led to an interception. So the receiving core as a whole, you could really say stock down. Luke McCaffrey left the game with an illness per Dan Quinn. He had 1 catch for -1 yards. I mean, that was just a terrible play call by Cliff with the 3rd and 10 screen pass to Luke McCaffrey. And then Matt Gay misses a kick. He misses a 49-yard, and then the Patriots kicker makes a 57-yard field goal. So that was disappointing. Matt Gay, we paid him that much money for a kicker. We gave him the most fully guaranteed 1-year deal for a kicker. We can't even pay our receiver. And the kicker goes out there and misses a 49-yard kick when he's supposed to be elite from 49 and in. And he goes out there and misses the kick. We don't have any competition for Matt Gay because we paid him so much for a kicker. The one guy, Efton Chisholm, number 86, he was running around making nice catches. And then Drake May had a rushing touchdown. Josh Dobbs had a rushing touchdown. It looked like the joint practice where they parted the Red Sea and they ran in for touchdowns. Just look at some of the numbers. JCM looked good. Trey Amos looked good. Trey Amos made a nice play against Mac Hollins where he ran with him stride for stride. He looked good. And then he made a nice tackle behind the line of scrimmage. Bill Merritt had a couple of nice runs. He had an 8-yard catch as well where he broke some tackles like that. He broke a couple tackles. He was elusive. On a 3rd and run, he had a nice, tough run for a first down. So I like a lot what I saw from Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara. He did go into the blue tent with a shoulder injury, but he's fine per Dan Quinn, so that's good news. Like I said, Luke McCaffrey left with an illness. But even for him, man, he needed those snaps, man. Johnny Newton had a day. Johnny Newton, man, it's about time. We had a Johnny Newton sighting, which I love, and he did that on the first string against first-string guys. Had a strip sack on Drake May, and the refs tried to cheat. They cheated like a mother. They called a freaking helmet-to-helmet hit or personal foul on Jeremy Reeves, which was ridiculous. And that got him in the red. That got the Patriots in the red zone. That was a ridiculous call there. That would have been a 3rd down stop for Jeremy Reeves. And then they tried to call it a forward pass, just like how they called a forward pass for Tom Brady against the Raiders years ago. And I know Tom Brady got the statue unveiled with his head was like really small compared to his body. But it's a better statue than what I've seen. It was better than Dwayne Wade's statue. But heads up play, great play by Johnny Newton to make a play and force a fumble on Drake May, where Drake May threw it. Didn't throw it at all, but it left his hands. And they didn't even capitalize on that because of the 3rd and 10 screen pass to Luke McCaffrey. They went for -1 yards, and then Matt Gay misses a 49-yard kick. So that annoyed me for Johnny Newton, but I'm happy that Johnny Newton stepped up and made a play. Trying to think about some other guys just individually before I get to my notes. Lawrence Cager had a pass interference. He had a drop. Jacoby Jones had a drop that led to an interception. Like I said, Chris Moore had 2 drops. KJ Osborne had a drop. So there's just too many drops by our receiving corps. Too many drops. And Terry's watching this is like, hey, this is why you guys got to pay me, you know. Big play Tay made a couple plays. I'm happy about that. He had 3 catches for 36 yards. Braylon Sanders, the DC defender, had 2 catches for 19 yards. He made some plays. Michael Gallup did make some plays. He had a 15-yard catch. Thought Michael Gallup had a solid night for the most part. Ben Sinnott had 2 catches for 10 yards. Colton Yankoff with a catch for 9 yards. But yeah, Trayvon Henderson, he had a day. He had a day today. Ramondre Stevenson had a couple good runs. The run defense was poor. Antonio Gibbs had a couple of good runs. I talked about that. Kane Madrano, he tried. He made a few tackles here and there, but he kind of got dusted up in the traffic there tonight. But I thought he played pretty hard. He tried. Carlin Vidgers had a rough night. He got trucked by Antonio Gibson, and then he looked scared to tackle after that. And then he got beaten coverage over the middle. Same thing with Dom Hampton. He got beat in the middle of the field in coverage. So some guys struggled in coverage for sure. Bobby Price dropped an interception, but I thought he was decent in coverage. He did have a pass interference. Demetric Felton played well tonight too. He had a nice 28-yard run. I like the way that he played. He got into the red zone. I thought he should have got rewarded with a touchdown. Try to run him again in the red zone, but they did not. Chris Rodriguez had an 8-yard run as well. Jeremy McNichols looked good tonight too. 3 carries for 18 yards. And he had the touchdown run and a 9-yard run. Lawrence Cager had a nice catch down the field from Josh Johnson. I thought Josh Johnson played well for the most part. I thought the offense did look better when he did come in. It just looked like a veteran was playing football. That's all. There was a difference when he did come in. I thought Josh Johnson had the better night. Josh Johnson went 15 for 22, 173 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Then Sam Hartman went 9 for 19, 64 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But like I said, it could have been different if 3 guys would have caught the football, or 2 guys would have caught the football between Chris Moore and KJ Osborne. All right, let me look at my notes real quick, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. Tyler Owens, he did have a holding penalty on a kickoff. He did miss a tackle as well, so he didn't have his best night. Chris Moore dropped. Bill had a false start. He did. He's got to clean that up. He's got to be better than that. But I thought for the most part, he had a really good night. Like I said, Jeremy Reeves was flying around. I thought the penalty was a phantom penalty. I thought that was a terrible, terrible call. Ja'Cory Brooks made a couple nice plays. I talked about that. The screen catch that he had and run where he broke some tackles. Big play. Tay had a 2-point conversion catch. Jalen Lane, he's got to get more targets. He only had 1 target. That's ridiculous. That's inexcusable by Cliff. You got to get him involved, man. I know I don't care if it's the preseason or not. You got to get him more targets than that. That's ridiculous. Whether it's a screen catch, screen play, end around, reverse, whatever, you got to get Jalen Lane the football. Jalen Lane almost had more tackles than catches tonight. Did he have more tackles than catches? Yeah, he did. He had more tackles than catches tonight. He had zero catches and 1 target, but he had a tackle on special teams. That's got to change. That's got to change. Andre Jones had a batted down pass. That was good. I like that, seeing that from Andre Jones. I thought he made a couple of nice pressures. Dom Hampton did have a nice tackle on 3rd down, but he got beaten coverage a couple times. Lawrence Cager had a push off and then a drop. He had an offensive pass interference and still dropped the football. Noah I thought he played pretty well tonight, but he did miss a tackle on the touchdown from number 86, the wide receiver for the Patriots. Efton Chisholm. So that's the only time that Noah I didn't make a play. Felton, talked about him. He made a nice play. Trey Amos looked good. He tackled behind the line of scrimmage. Talked about that earlier. And And yeah, Larry Izzo, man, he's gotta look some guys in. He's gotta look himself in the mirror as a coach, and then the special teams unit just as a whole, they gotta look themselves in the mirror because that to allow a 100-yard kickoff return on the first play of the game is inexcusable. And to allow Antonio Gibson again to have a big kickoff return is just inexcusable. So, but that's about it. I'm gonna wrap it up for tonight, guys. You guys let me know if I missed anything. I'll probably do studs and duds tomorrow. This was just my raw reaction from the action tonight. But I'm happy that we had a sighting from Johnny Newton that he made a play tonight. I'm happy that he made a play. So, all right, you guys. As always, you guys let me know what you guys think. Hell Commanders, 48 to 18. They got to clean it up. They got to look better. I know we're going to play our starters next week, which is going to be good to see them for a series or two. And then they play against the Bengals where the defense will definitely get dotted up and ran on if they don't come correct for sure. So I'm excited for that game on Monday Night Football. Hell Commanders, as always. Trey Henderson is a dog, man. He looked good. He looked really good tonight. That's one thing I'll say, too. But Hell's Commanders, peace. And they need to implement a running clock in these preseason games when it gets out of hand like this. All right, you guys. Hell's Commanders, peace.